It's been an entire month since the war in Iran started, and a lot has happened so far. Most of the Iranian dictatorship has been wiped out, a huge part of Iran's navy and air force have been destroyed, and the Arab countries are now siding with the United States in order to protect the entire region. However, while all of this is happening, Iran is still holding strong, and I'm not talking about the leaders or the military, but the actual country itself. If you didn't know already, Iran is filled with different groups of people. Azeris in the north, Balochs in the east, and so many different nationalities that live inside this one country. For instance, Iran's native population, the Persians, make up about 61% of the country's population, meaning that 39% of the country is made up of different groups. Now, this doesn't mean anything, as the nation has rarely even come close to a breakup. But, looking throughout history, nations will never be united when they control multiple nationalities under one government. Yugoslavia, the Soviet Union, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire are just a few examples. But I specifically want to take an example from Yugoslavia, how the country broke apart because it controlled multiple groups of people that wanted equal power, representation, and in the end, an actual independent country. What if Iran had a civil war overnight and the dictatorship collapsed? How many states would suddenly declare independence? Let's answer that. We start with Khuzestan. This is a region that has fought for independence a long time. Khuzestan, unlike the rest of Iran's Persian population, is mostly made up of Arabs. Arabs that call for the independence and separation of Khuzestan from Iran, around 5 million of them, and they're actually doing something to achieve that. There is a small but coordinated group in Khuzestan called the Falcons. In 2016, they attacked a petrochemical complex in Iran, alongside warning the dictatorship to not continue its wrongdoings against occupied Arab land. And in 2026, during the Iranian war, the Falcons have yet again started to act against Iran by raiding multiple Iranian bases in the region, and they might continue to do so because their plan is to free an independent Khuzestan, with Ahvaz becoming the country's capital. This region is also pretty important to begin with, because its territory owns almost 80% of all Iranian oil. This region is the key that Iran uses to unlock so much oil, and without it, Iran would be doomed. And that's why I picked it as our first nation that would break apart. Let's go a bit north now, because we will talk about a popular one, Kurdistan. We need no introduction for them. Around 45 million Kurds are living in the Middle East, each in different countries, because the territories of Kurdish populated areas are controlled by other countries, and the same applies for Iran. Kurdish Iran has around 10 million Kurds, and the territory extends from Turkey all the way down to the Khuzestan province. Their history goes very deep in the past. Since the First World War, the Kurds wanted to have their own independent country, and modern Kurds are huge allies of the United States and Israel. The Kurds welcomed the strikes on Iran and stated that they should get ready to act against Iran once the right moment appears. If Iran would ever collapse, the Kurds would most likely take the opportunity to capture their own lands and declare independence, with Kermanshah as the new capital of the Republic of Kurdistan. This move would weaken Iran a lot. Not only would they lose a great natural wall, mountains that nobody would dare to pass, but also 10 million people would instantly be gone, and their access to the Turkish and Iraqi borders would disappear. Let's go in the Far East now, where we'll find a huge territory fighting for freedom. All of this is where the Balochs live, and they call themselves Balochistan. These people can be found not only in Iran, but also in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Around 5 million Balochs live inside this huge area, and the same as in Kurdistan, they are actively sabotaging the dictatorship. There are multiple Baloch groups that are actively fighting government targets in order to weaken them. Groups like the Liberation Army, the Liberation Front, and the People's Fighters. These groups hide inside, let's say, Pakistan, and then start attacking government personnel, buildings, and other targets. But when the Pakistani army comes too close to get rid of them, they run off to Iran. where they will continue to do the same until the Iranian army comes and makes them run away yet again to the other side of the border. It's pretty complicated, but the main point is that these people want independence, they want freedom, because the Balok regions are some of the richest in terms of natural resources inside both Iran and Pakistan. If a total collapse of government happened in Tehran overnight, this region would probably be one of the first to declare independence. Their flag would be harder to pick as they use many, but their capital would be Zahedan, the current capital of the region. Losing Balochistan would be terrible news for Iran, as the territory holds Iran's only deep water port with direct access to the Indian Ocean, alongside many deposits of gold, copper, and silver. But let's go north now, because this is probably my favorite territory to discuss, South Azerbaijan. And as the name suggests, this territory is literally, well, Azerbaijan. Their flag is very similar to the Azeri flag, and they make up about 20% of Iran's entire population. This region is mostly dominated by Azeris, not Persians. Around 70% are Azeris, and the other 20% are Kurds, and just 7% are actually Persian. South Azerbaijan has a population of around 15 million people. That is more than the population of Azerbaijan itself, and this territory is dominated by the Azeri language. Most people speak Azeri, whether it's in local markets, conversations, or cultural life, but Tehran imposes the Persian language in schools, government, media, and official documents. So if you're born an Azeri here, it will be mandatory for you to also learn Persian. There are a lot of factions that advocate for the separation of South Azerbaijan from Iran towards unification with the actual Azeri state. And I mean a lot, just take a look at all of these. But if South Azerbaijan would ever get its chance to declare independence, the question would then be, when will unification happen? Forming what people call Greater Azerbaijan. Moving just a bit south, we get to our next territory, Lorestan. This territory is just one of the many that is home to the Lurs, a people closely similar to Iranians. So naturally, the Lurs never really had any retaliations against the Iranian state, as they are pretty similar, but they do like to keep their own tribal cultures alive. The Lurs population is kind of unknown, as the Iranian government doesn't publicly report it, but we can estimate that there are around 5 to 9 million Lurs inside Iran, most of them living inside Lorestan, but also around the neighboring regions. These people, while they may not be a lot, they are very complex. There are practically three types of Lurs: the northern Lurs, the middle Lurs, and the southern Lurs, each having even more different tribes inside. The borders of a Lur state aren't really defined pretty well. We could just take the Lorestan region, or we could take all of the territories where the Lurs live. Their capital would most probably be Horamabad. Either way, the Lurs never really wanted to break away from Iran, but nonetheless, it could be possible. Our last non-Persian state that could break away is Turkmenshara, a small region bordering Turkmenistan, and as you guessed, it is mostly made up of Turkmen. While small on a map, these people have always wanted either to become independent and unite with Turkmenistan, or just gain more autonomy within the Iranian state. But Iran has always repressed these people, especially when they tried holding democratic decisions. A Turkmenshara territory that would suddenly declare independence would most probably not be able to hold itself very long, so their plan would be to immediately unite with Turkmenistan. And while we're talking about unification, if Tehran would suddenly collapse overnight, this would also be the perfect time for the Emirates to take back control of Abu Musa and the Tunb Islands, three different islands that the UAE claims as theirs, with Iran illegally occupying them. But after all of these, the Iranian state would suddenly turn just into Persia, and almost 90% of its population would now be Persian. This is how the map would look if Iran's different nationalities split apart. This, however, would immediately face opposition before it even happens, from other countries like Pakistan, Turkey, and Iraq, who do not want a Kurdish state nor a Balok state to be formed. But this is just a what-if video, where I didn't take in consideration the reaction of other countries. And in the end, as all Iranians have told me so far, Iranians don't want to be split, they just want change. Let me know in the comments what do you think about this. Thanks for watching.